Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by learning to develop yourself, your skills, your network, and more. I'm Brian, your host. Today on the Develop Yourself podcast, I'm here with Henry Lamb, a professional ADHD coach for adults. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Hello, everyone.
Really glad to have you on here. This is one of those topics that I don't know a lot about, but I feel like software developers, it's one of those careers which may have more like neurodivergency than others. Is that accurate?
It is probably one of the top ones because there's so much new and variety in software, and because there's other fields with ADHD. It's just that's very common, like sales or hairstylists or the people in construction building your things or the people who are making your food. So don't make them distracted or angry when you're ordering food. So finding ways to take care of yourself and your surroundings so you can help yourself be, happy, healthy, and whole. I mean, that's the purpose of my coaching, no matter what, because this stuff can be applied to other people. Is because your brain health can easily get affected no matter what. And this life is all about bombarding your brain, and that you just do the dumb things and waste money and etc. So it affects all ages of people and all genders. It's just some different groups, different personalities and likings, like software developers, higher chance of ADHD. So they're struggling with focus, organizing tasks, following through with projects, etc. Organization, issues with organizing code, managing projects, keeping track of different tasks and people, etc.
It's a good one. It's funny you brought up the time management part, because that's a huge thing as a software developer, is that when you're on your whatever job you're in, you're going to be tasked with a project or some thing you have to create, and you're going to have to give estimates and think, okay, this should be done by, Friday or something like that, or in 2 weeks I should be done with this task. It's a really common thing to do, and missing those deadlines can be a big deal. It can be one of those things that's frustrating because you're like, I thought it would be done by this day, and how am I supposed to estimate something this far out? It's a really good one. Yeah, it's a tough one to do. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode, and if you're interested in becoming a software developer, learning how to build complex software, and actually get hired, join me at Parsity.io. If you're serious about joining, just schedule a call with me by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks, and back to the episode. What are some techniques that you've found effective for people to maintain their focus, concentration, basically either work around or maybe leverage their ADHD? Like how do they become productive and effective with ADHD?
Yeah. So first thing is your mind, your mindset, all the things of your mind. So first, decluttering your mind and organizing your thoughts. So finding tools, physical or digital, whether it's mind mapping, which is, you did, when you were younger, visual tool to break down ideas and tasks into manageable parts, because then you can see many things at once so you don't forget about things. And then you can start putting things together and, taking time to, do that with the digital or physical version so you can help keep track of things. And then you could also be using like a task management system, whether it's Trello, which is visual Kanban boards, like Toyota. They're creating very effective workplace and productivity and less problems, versus you could also be doing ClickUp, which has like almost everything you need to figure out stuff. But of course, you might feel overwhelmed with that. So, and then, just tracking your thoughts is important. So journaling, writing down, is this helpful? Is it going to, what can I question myself? How long would this really take? Do I give myself extra time? Is this really important now? And getting out, what you fear and etc. is very important. And also just saying positive things to yourself too, that, I'm doing a good job. You love those. I mean, many of us with tech, they love all that dopamine. So you're getting a lot of positive feedback, so give yourself some positive feedback. I mean, you could be silly and just listen to a great job like for an hour while you're doing some coding that you really hate. And it's like, that's better than nothing. It's like with coding, you could hit roadblocks and bottlenecks, and like, I thought it was going to get done on Friday. I'm like, oh no, and it's Thursday and I hit this bottleneck, and it's like the end of the world. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, where's your? And it's like with ADHD, you got creativity and innovation, but it's like when you have so much stress and you procrastinate and now it's at the bottleneck, and it's like, I don't think your juices are flowing. You're not in the flow state. So making sure, hey, you got to break down the coding task into manageable steps, baby steps, making it smaller, making it more
Hmm.
interesting with your task management systems and whatever else you're using. Using checklists, just like in video games, they're like bing, 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 bing every time you click it. And
Yeah.
then creating like progress on the bar or giving yourself stars, like you need to bring yourself feedback. It's very rewarding because it wants that instant feedback. And if we find that bottleneck for hours, then it's like you're not
Hmm.
getting any feedback, and then you don't want to do it again. The brain doesn't want it again. It wants McDonald's. It wants whatever. So
Hmm.
you can start at using like the Pomodoro technique. So you're doing 25 minutes of work, then 5 minutes of break. Of course, sometimes you're in a flow state or you kind of know how long it'll take and you don't want to lose the focus. So you can adjust that to 50 minutes or 115 or 2 hours or some people 3 or 4, because 4 hours is like the
Okay.
max for focus.
I'd
And
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, and then about maybe the rhythm with some breaks, like with the sun and the earth, like your rhythms maybe like 1.5 hours of focus, then take a break, then do it again. So mix and match, what's going on. Of course, some of us are out of tune with sleep, as mentioned earlier. So
Hmm.
fixing that is very important for your focus, because in general, AC or not, your focus is designed to be 8 to 12 p.m. in the morning is your best focus time. It's like get the things done as soon as you
Yeah.
can. Of course, some people start at 9, not 8. So making sure you do the hardest thing during that time and make sure you break it down and etc. But also then you have your pre-focus. You don't just jump into that hard coding, even if you have everything else set up. You gotta prep. It's like if some of us play Fortnite, you don't just jump into the match. You practice the shooting arena, the target zone, and just hit targets. Make sure it's accurate. You get in the zone. So you got to find out how you're going to get in the zone, which is important. Whether you're beating a bottleneck, whether you're creating some creative artwork, you got to get in
Hmm.
the zone. And that's important. So figuring out what works for you and having choices to do that. It's just like in sports. They have, a bunch of things they do right before it. It's not like they just
Hmm.
jump and throw the ball into the hoop. They got to prep. So you got to find what's your pre-game routine or pre-work
Yeah.
routine.
I like that a lot because what you've said, it's funny because I'm like thinking, man, I do a lot of this stuff. And I've learned it over the years because I remember my brain was constantly just running as a software developer, especially when I was new. I was like, am I doing this right? Am I not? How am I going to get this thing done on time? Am I working on the most important thing? How can I break this task down? And what I ended up doing was doing a lot of writing and journaling and like breaking up and doing what you said. I've always been a morning person, but I just knew that that's like my superpower time. After 2 p.m., I'm kind of useless. I'm not going to be doing much good work. A lot of what you've been talking about sounds like habit creation and rituals, but specifically designed for people that may have ADHD. It sounds like a lot of what it boils down to is habit creation, which I think is a really powerful thing to do, especially if you're transitioning careers and you're trying to figure out, software is a stressful career. I think people forget that it is not like a super chill career where you're just kind of hanging out all day. It's like the deadlines and the stress and the problem solving gives you those big hits of dopamine, like you've said, but it's also just weighs on you and your brain. It can be taxing. It can be like draining. Some days after coding all day, I'm like physically tired. I feel like sometimes. Have you heard that from other software developers? Just like the stress part of the job that we don't talk about a lot.
Because working like mad and not taking breaks and taking care of yourself and learning how to maximize your focus during your focus time and creating habits, which at the end they were taking habits, your goals, and everything into a system. And then optimizing your workplace with minimal distractions,
Yeah.
using noise canceling headphones. So if you just took the science fair poster board, we all remember those. You just put that behind
Hmm.
your computer. You don't see anything else. Of course, I don't know if people are seeing things behind their thing. Of course, some of
Yeah.
those open workplace environments aren't so helpful. But if you're at home, then wherever it is, it could be noisy, or maybe yes, you have your memorabilia behind it, but that can be distracting. Optimizing your workspace and your home space is very important.
Oh,
And
yeah, 100%. As a being remote, especially, I feel like people can either one, work like not at all, or two, which we don't talk about, people can overwork and work well beyond what they would normally do in an office. So I think that burnout is probably happening more, I would think, for remote. I don't have no statistics on this. I don't know. But I know for me, at least, like I was working way too much when I first started working from home after being in an office. It used to be you go take a train and that was your ritual or something, or you drive into work, you do your work, then you go home. Everybody goes home. Now, a lot of those rituals have been broken. And it sounds like a lot of what you're suggesting, if I'm hearing this right, is that people create rituals for themselves in order to like get into this flow state to make sure that they're not like burning out and just doing work nonstop.
And then using, Trello and, Notion and Google Calendar to stay organized. So that's, like you said, you're creating, coping mechanisms throughout the years. And a lot of HC engineers, they create coping mechanism, which, they get by, but then when they hit a spot where it's too much, feels like the end of the world. And it's like, who am I anymore? And it's like, well, we can fix all those. I know I'm helping right now economics computer science major, very bright. It's like he dropped out of college, sort of, but not dropped out. But he's coming back, but he pretty much left spring semester, and then but now he's getting better. But now it's like he can, he feels more himself now, but it's like he doesn't feel accomplished. Which is a problem. It's like, having a goal that's meaningful to him and doing something daily to progress. Because he got by because he's smart, but you can't get by in life with just being smart. You got to take on stress and be disciplined and organized. Doesn't matter, if you got high GPA, but then maybe you didn't do as well in school as you could have still, or yes, you look good on the outside, but inside you feel like crap because you don't have the mental discipline, which part of it is that part of the discipline is your environment and your self-talk and how you go about structuring your day and thinking about I'm tackling things because I want to and making it easier. It's making things easy and fun. That's the number one thing. Make it easy and fun, and it's doable. If you don't think it that way, that AC, is over, or I can never do it. But maybe the software is not the right thing for you. If it's because maybe yet, or it's just not the right thing. Because some people have a lot of baggage, and yes, I know I can help you get to people, help fix your health and mental health, so your body is running, like a fine Ferrari. But if you're not willing to do that, and you're not open to changing, and that. It's okay that if software is not right for you, and there's other things you can do with your brilliant mind, but if you're just expecting it's easy, off the bat without anything else, then you're gonna have trouble, because there's so many software people, because they're just jumping because it's money, but they're not thinking about anything else of it. It's money. Tech is money, but are you willing to pay the price to get there? And if you're not type A, or you find or create a system, then it's like you're gonna have trouble with like getting into those tech jobs, because you have to stand out on many fronts, not just your 4.0 GPA, or you have some coding project. You got to stand on other fronts, and then you got to maintain that, because some, like you said, on remote, my God, I could be doing nothing, or we could be going all day, all night, forever until this car burns and crashes. Well, a lot of these AC folks, undiagnosed, they get on performance review. And then especially when they're in remote work, and that becomes troubling, and then like they're so behind, and then because they're not taking breaks, they're creating structure, they're not being mindful, and then then they feel like I can never do this, like I can't, scared to go back to work, or etc., and then burn out. And then it's like then you're just like tired but wired, then at home, and then hating yourself. So we want to prevent that. So all this stuff, the early you can, seek help instead of just like throwing stuff on Reddit, because a lot of Reddit is just negativity and not helpful, and it's not tailored to you. And it's like I just go on there. It's like, okay, this is the first time I started trying to comment on Reddit. ADHD. It's like they're all like almost negative, even sometimes on productivity one. It's like And a lot of
Yeah.
the people's comments aren't even helpful.
Yeah, the Reddit and YouTube space is nuts because there's so much more information. Like I started learning to code around 10 years ago, and there was a lot less information, which I actually think is more helpful because I went to a few trusted sources to get information, and I read books, and there wasn't like this whole social media aspect of the tech content creator scene. Nowadays, you have people like me or, a million people on YouTube. I went on Reddit and I was trying to give advice, based on being a software developer with 10 years experience, and people that have zero experience are like calling me out saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, and just nonstop negativity. I'm like, this can't be good. I felt so bad for people that are just learning to code. And that's like the first introduction they have is somebody saying, you can't do this. It's impossible. And, I can't figure this out. So therefore no one can figure this out. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, well, that's not a very good worldview to have.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, I know that there's a lot of people that like do well in this profession, maybe because they have some form of ADHD.
Entrepreneurs, a lot of them ADHD or inventors, like they keep going. Like the Energizer Bunny, which sometimes I know for detriment of them, but they keep persisting and figuring out and seeking help because doing it all by yourself is hard. Where's the feedback? Where's the mirror? Saying, oh, it's like you're throwing the punches wrong. You've been doing it like this when it should be like that. And so it's like, there's small things that's like, hey, a coach, a therapist, which is not the same thing, which of course I'm going to clarify now. It's like a coach is trying to help you climb over the wall. You know what wall you want to climb. When you see therapists, you're like, I don't feel good. What wall? There is no wall. I don't feel good. I'm lost. It's like the wall might be somewhere over here, but you're lost. You don't feel good. It's like you're thinking about over there behind you still. And it's like, okay, so we're thinking about, hey, you have a go, the wall. How are you going to climb over it? What do you need? What do you need training? Oh, yeah. So, just like a boxing coach, you have raw talent in it. You're amazing. ADHD, great projects, great intelligence, great typing skills, etc. But you don't have the other things needed to be a great software developer yet. And if you're trying to do, coding bootcamp is great. There's creating a structure. You don't have to think too much about going here or there or whatever with all the stuff. So you just stick with it. And you can have some time to have some freedom to experiment other ways, making things more interactive, fun. However you process things better. Speaking out, working with people. Making it just more real and tangible, which is important in coaching. It's like, hey, you have a goal, you have challenges, you have strengths. How can we use those strengths to overcome the challenge to get to the goals? And we're not, of course, goals is like, okay, we're not saying like, lose 10 pounds in a month, which is we want better way, which we kind of call like a flexible SMART goal, which I forget what that's called. Which happens with ADHD. Sometimes, your memory doesn't work, but that's okay. So we're saying you're going to take steps to improve your eating and planning habits and stuff, and then you're going to lose weight better. That sounds better than you losing 10 pounds because we're making progress. Because, so it's just like the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. So sometimes you'll go up and sometimes you'll go down because you're dealing with a lot of things. So progress is not linear. It's just like crossing a river.
Yeah, totally. This is a mental game as much as it is like a skills game. And I like what you've hit on too. Like you can not always control the outcome, but you can control your habits. And as a person that's learned to code, went through weight loss and workout programs and stuff, I've seen my own progress, and it's never linear. It's ups and downs and ups and downs. Same thing in my career. And I've spoken with so many people now about their own careers in tech or just in general that I respect. And it's interesting to hear their non-linear paths. I've met very few people that have what anybody would consider a traditional path in software, really any career. Last question before I let you go. I'm curious, what advice would you give to somebody with ADHD who's just starting their journey into software development?
So, first of all, embrace your strengths. Seek support tailored to your needs. You're like a fresh boxer. You're, wow, you got so much potential, but there's so many things you gotta learn. It takes time. You don't just become a fresh athlete in one day or 1 month. You don't build a business in 1 year or etc. That's so successful. It takes time. There's challenges. So your brain is wired differently, but different can be extraordinary. And remember, if you see a coder running around looking for misplaced laptop while holding it in their hand, just know they might be one of us with ADHD. So, having humor is very important. If you think I'm already a successful coder, I'm already getting better, fake that you already did it, that you're already successful at this interview, then it's like your brain is like, it's looking for patterns. ADHD folks are really great at pattern recognition and problem solving. So it's like, you gotta use that to your advantage. You gotta make sure that you bring it in positive, that like, I'm a great coder, or you could even wear clothing that says, I'm amazing coder, I'm already at Google. It's like putting that mindset when you work. It's like if you want to be a doctor, you wear a lab coat every day, that I'm taking this serious. I'm not, being my pajamas coding, okay? That's not serious. You got to put yourself in that mindset, because that's what successful people do. They think about the future and think about the other people doing and take their things and then put it to them. Because how do you present yourself to, some, ADHD folks that might be struggling with social skills, not to their fault, or autism, or which both of them have spectrums. Those things can be improved, and it takes time. And I know people I can find to help you, and putting on that training wheel, putting on the plates on your bar so you can get higher and higher. You guys got this. Life is short, so do what you want to do and figure out what you want to do, and
then pursue it.
Yeah, and pursue it. Yeah. So
I like your positive outlook a lot. That's something that I feel like is missing online. I'm too much online doing content creation, which I'm assuming you're doing as well. And there's so much negativity nowadays. I think it's really important to maintain that optimism and to almost like gaslight yourself into thinking, hey, things are possible for me. Thinking like that. I think that's been helpful my entire life, because I've dealt with a lot of things like most of us have. And I think keeping that optimism has been really important to the trajectory of my own life. Where can people find you online, Henry?
Yeah, so they can find me on different social media, but I'm still trying to build them up. So you can just find me if they type in ADHD Coach Henry on Google, or you can just type in ADHDcoachingnearme.com. So just straightforward, or you can type in ADHD Coach Henry on Google, and there I am, and you can ask me questions, and we can talk. Hey, I can help you pinpoint some things that's going on in your life, and you can start moving for in a 15-30 minute session, just to help move things along. I'm working on also a group program to help coding bootcamp students out, to help them succeed in boot camp and when they get into their career, because it's a lot of the same principles no matter what. Stuff we discussed today and more, so you can create the life that you want.
I hear that. Hey, thank you so much for being a guest today. Really appreciate this conversation, and hopefully have you back again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That'll do it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. To learn more about becoming a software engineer with us, then check out Parsity.io. If you're not quite ready for that, then jump into our Dev30.xyz program, which is 30 days of working on your mindset, habits, and JavaScript skills. Totally worth it. See you next week.